it was kind of crazy how much interest Jon showed in the Francis Ngannou fight. Like there was some tweets going back and forth. What would happen if he came to you and says like, I'll fight, but I won't fight Aspinall, I would fight Ngannou? Would you even be interested in that or no?
I don't have Ngannou under contract, and Aspinall's the guy.
Right. If you were put in the position, would you maybe try to get Ngannou back under contract or no?
Probably not.
Francis Ngannou sends a clear warning message, and he won't be interested in fighting Jon Jones under current circumstances. What's really going on behind the scenes? Today we're breaking down the real story behind Ngannou's potential UFC return, the coach controversy that's got everyone talking, and why the heavyweight division might be in more trouble than we thought.
I'll give you the floor. Is there anything you would like to clarify? What was your reaction to, I guess, the reaction overall to what you had to say about the Francis Ngannou possibly returning to the UFC situation, since Dana White was asked about it on Saturday night?
Oh, Jesus. Like, this guy hasn't learned his lesson. Every time I say it. Holy shit. Yeah, man. I mean, you know, Dan, Tom, and I are good friends. We trained together for over like 18 years. It was just kind of a question of, you know, like what fandom, like what scenarios would be great. And of course, I'm always going to say Francis and Jon are, you know, the best competition out there. So, and then Francis texted me like one of those, like just a clickbait one. He's like, Bubba, did you say this? I'm like, no. Like, it was like, basically, it was like Francis Ngannou wants back in the UFC. That's all. I'm like, bro, what kind of non-fucking journalistic post was this?
Francis Ngannou has made it clear he's not interested in fighting Jon Jones under current conditions. Behind the scenes, tensions are rising. Today, we break down the real reasons behind Ngannou's potential UFC return, the coaching controversy making headlines, and why the UFC's heavyweight division could be facing bigger issues than anyone expected.
But yeah, we had a laugh about it because Francis and I are actually on the phone talking about some other stuff, and then he's like, oh shit, like look, Jones just tweeted. So we were kind of laughing about it.
Oh, it's so funny. Like seeing Jon react to it and be like, now I hear Francis wants to come back and now we can fight. And now this one makes sense. This is a real super fight. You're like, what have I done? What have I done? I didn't do anything.
I was like, bro, is that Homer Simpson meme where he just goes like in the bushes? I was like, oh shit.
Oh man.
Nick did it again, bro. Fuck.
Any discussion about time frame or anything like that? Or
no, nothing at all. Right, yeah, nothing at all. I mean, just back in the room and just back to training with the fellas, really. But nothing like business wise. You know, that's why I thought it was kind of funny. It's like it was almost like I was giving away some inside info. I don't know shit. I'm the guy that like legit, bro. It cracks me up. Like I'm like the guy from like Zero Dark 30 when they just.
Today, we're diving into the real story behind Francis Ngannou's potential UFC return, the coaching controversy stirring debate, and why the heavyweight division could be in serious trouble. Things got twisted by clickbait headlines. So here's what really happened. Ngannou's head coach, Eric Nixick of Extreme Couture, recently gave an interview discussing possible UFC scenarios for his fighter, sparking major speculation across the MMA world.
When have you ever heard a story where we owed somebody money? Never happened. So he's full of there. Actually, he owes me money because we had to watch that fight with him and the Black Beast. He should actually pay me back for that fight.
Here's where things get interesting. Eric Nixick, Francis Ngannou's head coach, claims his recent comments were taken completely out of context. In an interview, he responded to hypothetical questions about dream matchups, noting that a fight between Francis and Jon Jones would represent the highest level of competition. However, the MMA media quickly twisted his words, creating sensational headlines like Francis Ngannou wants UFC return, which even surprised Ngannou himself.
When I get to find out when we're actually what we're doing, you know, they keep me in the dark on everything. Bro, I'm a fan of the sport. That's all. Like I'm a fan of Tom. I want to see Tom get his shot. He's earned it. He's deserved it. You know, but I think the heavyweight division's in a tough place right now. It really is. And that's just me and Dan Tom talking about what can revitalize this division that needs some help. You know, then there's some options out there. I don't know Francis's contract deal with the PFL. I don't know any of that stuff. That's just me and you just chopping it up, bro. And I'm telling you how I, you know, perceive it and how I see it. And if that option's always available, Francis is a businessman. That's all I know.
To which Nixick responded no. Nixick didn't hold back, calling the reporting completely irresponsible and criticizing how his words were distorted. He even joked that Ngannou should be reimbursed for having to watch the dull fight against Derek Lewis, claiming, "He owes me money for that." But here's the kicker. While Ngannou and Nixick were laughing about the misreporting, Jon Jones suddenly tweeted something that caught their attention. Nick made it absolutely clear that he's not involved in Francis Ngannou's business decisions. He humorously compared himself to a character from Zero Dark 30, saying he's the guy who only learns about missions when someone tells him, "Hey, you're going tonight." The coach admitted he has no knowledge of Ngannou's PFL contract or future plans. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. Another one of Ngannou's coaches, Dewey Cooper, offered a different take. Cooper believes Francis would be open to a co-promotional deal between the PFL and UFC, but firmly stated that a full UFC return is off the table.
My first fight against Stipe, my relation with the UFC never been the same. I just wanted to fight out my contract and renegotiate. I was expecting to fight at least 2 or 3 times a year. Then I get to the point that I have 1 fight, I have nothing. So I was limited of income.
Why? Because when everyone claimed Francis Ngannou fumbled the bag by leaving the UFC, the PFL stood by him, and he doesn't forget loyalty. Dewey Cooper made it clear, "I don't see any chance of Francis returning to the UFC. The PFL would definitely have to be involved in any future deal."
And that's just me and Dan Tom talking about what can revitalize this division that needs some help. Then there's some options out there. I don't know Francis's contract deal with the PFL. I don't know any of that stuff. That's just me and you just chopping it up, bro. And I'm telling you how I, perceive it and how I see it. And if that option's always available, Francis is a businessman.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Jon Jones versus Francis Ngannou, the dream matchup MMA fans have craved for years. Many, like Cooper, have compared it to Mayweather versus Pacquiao. But in the world of MMA, unfortunately, it's starting to look like it may never happen. The harsh truth. Jones appears more focused on dodging true challenges than cementing his legacy with the kind of iconic fight fans truly want to see.
Respect. But who's that fight to happen? We're over here. We're over there. You don't want no smoke. You know I want all the smoke. You know I want all the smoke. With the 1-2 kick. Listen, I give you a respect for that, but I want that smoke. You know that. I've always been there. Today I started it. And I'm going to die for that division. The heavyweight. We'll see. We could have solved, but you left. Oh, no, you sit back for 3 years. I had to get to a good enough size to kick your ass. I'll take you 3 years. 3 years, a long time happens. I will always be down to fight you, but not do best though. But I want you. I want to keep you out.
The irony is hard to ignore. Jon Jones moved up to heavyweight just as Ngannou was champion, but only after Ngannou left the UFC, and now, with talks of a potential co-promotional return for Ngannou, Jones has vanished from the spotlight. Meanwhile, Tom Aspinall is stuck waiting to unify the heavyweight titles. Interestingly, Cooper believes Aspinall could actually benefit if Jones versus Ngannou happens first. Facing the winner would elevate his legacy by taking on an undisputed MMA legend.
About Francis Ngannou, you having him? You want some?
I've said plenty times, the day that I start ducking out of fights and turning opponents down and stuff like that is the day that I'm going to retire. So I'll fight anyone. I'll fight anytime and I'll fight anywhere. Never turn down a fight in my life. Never will. The day that I start thinking about turning down fights is the day that I'll retire. So to answer the question, whoever they want me to fight is who I'm going to fight.
Here's Cooper's take. Jon Jones will only fight Tom Aspinall if the Francis Ngannou matchup becomes completely impossible to make. In other words, Jones is using Ngannou as an excuse to dodge Aspinall, and simultaneously using Aspinall to avoid making the Ngannou fight happen. It's a strategic stall, and fans are catching on. Eric Nixick didn't hold back when addressing the state of the UFC's heavyweight division, calling it in a tough place right now, and he's not wrong. You've got Jon Jones as the official champion, but instead of defending his title, he's making more headlines for reality TV appearances and vacations in Thailand. Then there's Tom Aspinall, the interim champ, who's been begging for a unification fight with zero response. And let's not forget Francis Ngannou, the former king of the division, now thriving outside the UFC. According to Nixick, the division desperately needs a shakeup, and the clearest fix: find a way to bring Ngannou back.
How do you think Dana White feels about what happened on Saturday?
Who cares? Dana White feel like Dana White feel. I feel like I feel. Personally, I feel great. I think you have to send him an invite so you could ask him. I would like to know too.
Okay.
Here's the business reality: Dana White and the UFC burned their bridge with Francis Ngannou when they let him walk. White claimed they offered him a record-breaking deal for a heavyweight, but Ngannou turned it down. And now, with Ngannou proving his value by going the distance with Tyson Fury fighting Anthony Joshua, and dominating Renan Ferreira in his PFL debut, his stock has skyrocketed. At this point, it's clear the UFC might actually need Francis Ngannou more than Ngannou needs the UFC.
How much interest Jon showed in the Francis Ngannou fight. Like, there was some tweets going back and forth. What would happen if he came to you and says, like, I'll fight, but I won't fight Aspinall, I would fight Ngannou? Would you even be interested in that or no?
I don't have Ngannou under contract, and Aspinall's the guy.
Right. If you were put in the position, would you maybe try to get Ngannou back under contract or no?
Probably not.
Yeah.